Back in September of 2023, the Walt Disney Company officially announced that they were spending $60 billion over 10 years on their experiences segment, which includes their controlling interest in 10 Disney theme parks across the world. Unfortunately, the experiences division also includes their plethora of cruise ships, resort hotels, Disney Vacation Club properties, and their consumer products division. So while that $60 billion figure was impressive, the reality was less than spectacular. Now, Disney's CEO Bob Iger has recently revealed just how much of the company's money will be allocated towards its domestic theme parks. Let's talk about the Walt Disney Company's investment in its most profitable segment as Disney takes on Universal in the theme park wars here on That Park Plays. Let me go ahead and share something on screen right now that'll provide the basis for our story. Here we go. This is by Scott Houston. Disney added a new page to its corporate website that highlights the company's impact on the American economy and includes a message from CEO Bob Iger that mentions the company's $30 billion theme park investment, which will create 10,000 new jobs in Florida and California. That's a direct quote right there. Why we're bringing this up? Well, it's interesting how that all breaks down. I'll go ahead and start with Bob Iger's comments, though. In 1923, when Walt Disney and his brother Roy first set up a cartoon studio in pursuit of their American dream, few could have imagined what that future would hold. This company was built from Walt's extraordinary ambition and boundless creativity. Many others have come and gone over the century, and yet Disney has stood the test of time as a constant source of happiness for families and communities, and a shining example of innovation and imagination. That enduring cultural influence sets Disney apart as both a brand and business, which is a privilege that we take seriously. That's why we've always believed it's important to be one of the world's most admired companies, not only for what we create, but for the positive impact that we have. Most admired. That's interesting. I don't know. Have they seen the polls lately?
By who exactly? Is this most admired by people that Bob Iger is offering large sums of money to get them to be in his films that will never make money?
Yeah. Is it the entertainment industry? Is it Hollywood? Who is most admiring the Walt Disney Company at this point? Today, we have more than 160,000 U.S. employees across all 50 states from virtually every trade and profession, from animators and accountants to zoning engineers and zoologists. We are invested in their success in communities that they call home. Major new initiatives like our $30+ billion investment in our domestic theme parks will add some 10,000 new jobs in Florida and California. Now that right there is particularly interesting because I remember one Nelson Peltz saying, hey, you just announced $60 billion to be spent on the theme parks to turbocharge them. But how much of that was actually being spent on not only Disneyland, which I don't even know if he mentioned that, to be honest with you, but particularly Walt Disney World. Like, this is your prime investment right here, or at least it should be, because of how much money comes from Walt Disney World and funds pretty much everything that you're doing. I think 30% of all the profit that is generated by the Walt Disney Company actually comes from Walt Disney World itself. And for its theme parks division, that ranges anywhere between 40 to 60%, roughly. So how much is actually being spent here? Now we have our first answer to that, and it's to the tune of $30 billion. Culture, your take on this?
Well, if this is he was targeting investors, they should be well aware of what was being said a couple of years ago, back when they were in a lot of trouble. They haven't changed anything. This is a lot of puffery around the same strategy that led us to this, this disastrous decline that's only going to continue. Whether or not you employ X number of people or not, it's a reduction in the number of people you used to employ. The only way you're adding numbers seems to be on cruise ships that you're putting to sea. And maybe a few extra people on those, islands that, in the case of one of them, isn't even an island anymore. And you only have partial use of that land, but that's a whole other conversation. This is one of those moments that he's trying to kick save his legacy, which is now in the dirt. So my thoughts are, keep lying, Bob. It's not helping you any, and you aren't going to sell any more books. So... yeah.
Now, this is also interesting because the very next line shows you what the company itself prioritizes. And in 2025, we'll spend over $23 billion on production for our movies and television series and licensed content, the majority of which will be spent here in the United States. Now, keep this in mind. Netflix has committed to spending only $18 billion this year. That number will probably go up. But Disney is saying, well, we're going to spend 23. Jonas, how many shows from Disney, for example, are on the top 10 when it comes to streaming?
Made by Disney or owned by Disney? The ones that are branded as Disney shows, there's pretty much none ever anymore. For the ones that they've bought from Fox, there's usually a few of those. And of course, Bluey, which they have with a content licensing deal they never need to let go of, is frequently near the top, if not the top, of the streaming charts. So,
okay, so they're going to spend roughly $5 billion more than Netflix will on content this year, but that includes movies and so forth, and some things that Netflix doesn't necessarily do to the extent that Disney does. Okay, fine, whatever. But that's in 1 year. That $30 billion from the domestic parks is going to be over 10 years. Again, that's the difference here. And it might be why Disney is in the situation that it's in currently. Now, we do have a little bit of an understanding of where that money might go ultimately. So here you go. Disney's set to invest up to $17 billion in Florida theme parks now. That fight with DeSantis appointees has ended. Okay, so 17 roughly over the next 10 years for Walt Disney World. And then for Disneyland, we know that they're going to be spending at least $1.9 billion. I know this says 2.5, but that's the max spend right here. Actually, Anaheim was more accurate with this a little bit, because it says right here, investing a minimum of 1.9 over the next 10 years. They're going to be spending 1.9. I think there's like a $2 million hit that they have to take. If they don't spend a 2.5, they'll take it. So that leaves roughly $11 billion unaccounted for. We can assume that between Coco, which is supposed to be starting construction in 2026, and the Marvel expansions, or the expansion to Marvel's Avengers Campus that's taking place right now, all of that, I'd say probably $1 billion. So $10 billion roughly unaccounted for. Culture, is that enough?
No. Consider this. I mean, Universal's about to spend $6 to $8 billion in the UK alone just to set up another theme park and resort.
It's true.
They're also going to do that in Spain, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about in detail in the near future. They're investing in their theme park. Disney hasn't for a very long time. The last major expansion was I guess Galaxy's Edge, and both parks spending far too much money for far too little, because they believe that if you build a land that looks cool, but you don't give anybody any attractions to go in it, that's, an expansion. Well, it's an expansion of concrete. It increases your capacity of humans that can be standing on said concrete, but that's not actual expansion. It's also not actual capacity. Capacity in the theme park business used to refer to, how many people could, go through the parks in a day and go through as many attractions as they could manage. Capacity to Disney just means how many will the fire marshal allow? And that's a problem. That's why New Fantasyland was a little bit of a disappointment. And after that point, everything became a larger and larger disappointment, because things that were claimed to be expansions were actually subtractions in total accommodation and or attractions. You've got a complete collapse of the entertainment that used to be provided across the board, and you aren't really adding anything, Bob, and you haven't in a long time. And I will quibble with the amount being spent and say, well, what is that in addition to your normal operational budget? Or is this actually a cutout for a true and actual expansion? Are you going to destroy things so in turn you can build other things in their place and not actually expand anything? There's going to be a lot of questions being added. And again, I look at the Rivers of America, or whatever you want to call that part of the Frontierland conversation and attraction, as an opportunity to expand more concrete so we can add more capacity so people can stand in there, so the fire marshal will allow you to have more people. This is the problem with Bob and his ride into the sewer after his ride of a lifetime. So I'm done with that. I'm done.
I want to incorporate somebody else in here into this conversation that is going to be joining us thusly. But before I do that, I just want to say, look, you're talking about 6 domestic theme parks, well over 28 resort hotels domestically between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. You're talking about a lot of maintenance and upkeep and updates and so forth. We haven't even included the water parks, new DVC locations. So that $30 billion, that goes really, really quick. And as Culture mentioned, it's like how much of that is expansion? How much of that is going to be increasing capacity and attracting new visitors? Or are you just adding on to your resort inventory, for example, in order to push DVC sales? Marvin, I want to go ahead and get you in here. We just got the numbers for domestic theme park spend. It's going to be $30 billion over the next 10 years. That juxtaposed against $23 billion going to be spent this year alone for entertainment. What say you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that the entertainment and theme park budgets are so close doesn't really represent or reflect accurately exactly how this company makes its money. The theme parks make exponentially more money than entertainment. It's all just posturing by Disney. It's, of course they put the little rainbowy colors on this page also. It's all just nonsense pandering. They are running scared. They are absolutely shaking in their boots over. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't think that they thought people were going to love Epic the way they love it.
Yep.
I think they knew what it was going to be, and they just didn't think it. They're like, we're Disney, and that's going to be that. And I think that now they're scared because they saw even their pixie duster vloggers. Now, I haven't seen one of them that said a bad word about it. So,
I did see one. Actually, I did see one. They're upset about the quality of the alcohol at Helios, and
of course. Of course,
yes.
Of course, their ability to have
it was still vague, by the way. It was just a thumbs down, by the way. I laughed at the idea, like, oh, okay, yes, that can't be fixed, can it? No, can't buy different booze.
Have they had the drinks at the supposed Cantina bologna sausage in Star Wars area? Because really garbage-tastic, And look, I'm not a big drinker, so it needs to be something that impresses me when I have a drink, and that was the most disappointing Star Wars themed thing I've had next to, I don't know, a porg.
I just think it's very interesting because it's like in Disney putting out this release, this message from Bob Iger saying, "Hey, listen how much look at how much we're doing for the U.S. economy. Look at how well run our organization actually is." They expose themselves as not being all that well run or well managed, and like many people are saying right now, you're destroying Walt's legacy in the process, and really you're destroying your own reputation with your investments. Like, I don't know, a $645 million investment in Andor, for example, which only sullies the name of not just Star Wars, but Disney itself.
Oh, by the way, oops, as I zoom out, apparently. By the way, something I've noticed, they're building a big building that's not in any of the theme parks. You think any of the money they're talking about is going into that big building with Bob's name on it?
Oh, that one?
Oh, yeah.
$4 billion? Do you think
$4 billion?
I'm just curious. Is that part of the that part of the expansion?
I don't know. They talk about if they talk about Florida and they talk about California, everything that is outside of that's what's going in that Bob Iger building. Television, that's where the money's going to be made there.
Television, linear networks.
I would not be shocked at this point if the next theme park is called Bob Iger World.
The ride of a lifetime is the tag for that.
Yeah, and it's just a tour of the sewers, under the Magic Kingdom.
Cyrano 2960 with the $5. Thank you. Cyrano Patrol buy. Now, Disney, we are lowering our prices, but the churros have increased 200%, and with a credit check. yeah,
right.
It's pretty good right there. Albertus Magnus with the $10. Thank you so much. Haven't we seen expansion proposals before that went up in smoke? Even if they do it, they will do it woke and for modern childless audiences, and will destroy what made Disney special. It's BS.
Yep, it's all going to be lounges. It's all going to be lounges. It's all going to be, they'll invest into huge fashion brands that are unaffordable, kitchenware, all the stuff that we've seen them do to pander to Disney adults. It's all nonsense.
Hey.
They used to roll out toys and like kids stuff that was based on the attractions. Now it's all just high end fashion wear, and it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, the Copernic.
You aren't interested in Balenciaga pajamas?
Nope.
Okay.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.